Hi, my name is Marcia DaCosta. I'm a minister, and it's a great privilege to be talking to you today. I really want to reach out to young people. I am passionate about young people. I feel that we, the older generation, have somehow failed the youth and the young people, that we see that many of them are just without purpose and lost, hopeless for their future, to the point where they turn in on themselves. It's almost like our youth, some of our youth are imploding. I want to sort of make sure that it's not just those young people. There are lots of young people who are doing well, and we want to acknowledge those young people who are doing so well, because the future leaders, the future business directors, maybe even the future Prime Minister out of them all, which there will be. And so I applaud the fact that they are doing so well, but they feel dragged down a bit by the young people who are not doing so well, because they feel that everyone judges them the same, and they're not the same. And for the black youth particularly, they're not all the same, and they are certainly being judged all the same, and sometimes even criminalised. In my generation, when I was younger, we did have the sus law, which criminalised a generation of young black people who were doing nothing but standing at a bus stop. If you were suspected of about to rob somebody, even though you were standing at the bus stop and doing nothing. So, you know, for the young black people today, I want to say that there is a great destiny for them, and there is a great future. What we need to find are people who can mentor and help them to steer the right path. We have a generation of some of them who are following a totally wrong path. They're looking for leadership, they're looking for love, they're looking for direction, and unfortunately they turn to the wrong direction, or they're drawn into the wrong direction, into gangs, into murder, into crime, and into drugs and other things like that. So I personally want to give to young people. I mentor young people so that they reach their generations, because the young need to reach their generations. They won't listen to us as older people, but if we support them as older people, they're able to have something to pass on to their generation. I want to tell young people, sorry, maybe we as older generation, we didn't pass on our history to you. You don't know the background that you came from. You don't know that you have a history. And I'm really sorry. I was in a conference one day, and I heard and it was about education, and a lot of the young people on the panel were blaming the older generation for the state of the situation now. And I thought, why should they blame us? Because we did, when I was younger and an activist, and I was really an activist, I was like Black Power was in my day, and I really was somebody who wasn't afraid to speak out, and we tried to change things for the future generations. And sometimes now I look back and I think, crikey, what was it that we missed? How did we miss it? Because what I'd hoped for, that things would be better for the future generation. When I was younger, young black men, particularly black boys, it made education subnormal. They were sent to educationally subnormal school. We couldn't all do GCE. We had to go through CSE first before you could even get to GCE. You know, even no matter how bright you were. So we wanted to change that as the radicals of our time. And we've changed that for some, but some are quite lost in that there's no hope and no direction. I remember I did my thesis, and I did it around young people and education, and I remember a headmaster saying to me in Clapham, he said to me, some of the young people are frustrated because they're not being stretched, okay, so they misbehave. And then he said, the teachers, because they misbehave, almost don't bother with them. And so it was a real shock to me, because it was like a cycle going on. They're frustrated because they're not being stretched, so they then don't focus, and then because they don't focus, they're not going to be stretched. And I think that's the same that's going on now. As far as I'm concerned, I think education has been so messed around with. If every political party that comes in does their own thing, and then it's all change all the time, every time there's an election, it's really appalling. And I really feel for the younger people today, how they're suffering education. They will find it difficult to even know what to do, because the education system just keeps changing as a new political party comes in. I want to talk to us as older people. How are we nurturing our young people? How are we supporting our young people? Because they're finding their root and their leadership in gangs. Some of those gang leaders, my goodness, they run such a tight ship. Can you imagine what entrepreneurs, what business people, what talents they have? But the talents are being geared in the wrong direction. You know, my heart goes out. I'm shocked by how they murder each other. There's no remorse. There's absolutely no remorse. They think they deserve to die. These are youth. These are our children. Most of us are looking at them and saying, oh, these bad kids, you know, oh, these bad gang members. And not seeing their children crying out for love somewhere. How are we going? We need to take charge. And we, as a particularly black community, because there are different things in different parts of the country. Up north, it's the white kids. In London, it seems to be the black kids that are predominantly so. You know, and those are the ones coming to the attention of the news. How are we going to support our children through the turbulence of teenage life and maturity? It breaks my heart when I hear young people say, I don't think I'll be alive by the time I'm 21. Most of them, us should be saying, looking to old age. No, I won't be alive to look, you know, I don't think I'll be alive past 21. What does that say about a society? Because our youth, our children and our youth are our future. If the youth don't think they have a future, well, God help us all. That's all I can say. Because they are the ones who are supposed to be running the businesses later on. So I want to encourage older people to take courage with the young people and help them. We can all do it in our communities, we can all do it in churches, sorry, we can all do it through our churches, we can all play our part in terms of providing safe spaces, love, support, comfort for the youth within our communities, befriending them, mentoring them. We have a responsibility. It's about whose child is it? Is it the individual's child or is it the community's child? And I think we need to be more community minded to say it's the community's child. If you love them, love breaks lots of barriers. And although sometimes it seems like they're hard to love, if we give that love to the youth within our area in some way or other, whether it's the girls, you know, can I say something? We cannot imagine what our youth are going through. If through the work I do, I hear and I know, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked and I'm broken-hearted. The girls, what they're going through, the gang rapes, the lining up for sexual acts, the pornography that little children are accessing, and the sexual stuff that they're going through. Oh my goodness, my heart cries out. My prayers cry out for the youth, because we need to help them. We need to be there for them. They're our future, and we love them. I love them, and I just want them to know that they have a future. Not at 15 to say, I don't think I will live past 21. Goodness gracious me. We need to say sorry to our young people because we haven't been there for them. Our children, these are our children. Somebody else might have birthed them, but they're our children. And I want to encourage, maybe the 30s generation, the 20s generation, the 40s generation, the older generation to be grandparents to some of these families, and the younger generation to be mentors and parents for them. One of the things I'd like to say to men: be responsible for who you birth. My life's work has been around this. Be responsible for who you birth. I had a 3-year-old say to me one day, "I think my father is on the front line." Didn't even know who her father is. The amount of domestic violence within the community, the black community, is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we're raising our children in all these environments. Even some of the older people. It's okay for people, everybody thinks it's okay to smoke marijuana. They think it's okay. But if you smoke it, your kids will smoke it. And then you'll start crying. Because when they start on harder drugs, you'll start crying. I remember somebody I knew who went to parenting support because their son was on speed and stuff like that when he was younger. He's an adult man now. And in that support group, what this friend said to me was that she and her husband were the only people in that room not on drugs. You'll be like, your children will be like the example you set them, totally. And so I would just encourage us to be examples to the youth around us, an example to the younger people coming up. Thank you.